Biology 9700, and the topic is transport of assimilates in plants or translocation. So the movement of substance in phloem tissue is called translocation. The main substance that are moved are sucrose and amino acids which are in solution in water. So these substances have been made by the plants and are called assimilates. And students, you know, the process of photosynthesis takes place in green parts of the plant. So as a result of this process of photosynthesis, carbohydrates are manufactured, and the parts of the plant where the food is manufactured, that is called as source. So the food has to be transported from the source towards those parts where the food is not manufactured, and all those parts are called as sink. So the sink can be the growing root or shoot, tips, the flower buds, storing organs, etc. So in this way, all they are called as the sinks. So food has to be moved from source towards the sinks by flowing vessels. So the process by which all this takes place, or this transportation or the translocation takes place, starts when the hydrogen ions move by active proton pumps into the tissue surrounding the phloem companion cells. They use ATP for this purpose when they move out by active proton pump. So, due to their movement, the diffusion gradient is created, and due to which when the diffusion gradient is created, that is the concentration of hydrogen ion is increased outside. So it causes the hydrogen ions to diffuse back into the companion cells by facilitated diffusion involving co-transporter protein. So students, you know, when the hydrogen ions moved out of the companion cells by the active proton pumps, so after their movement, the concentration of hydrogen ions is increased outside the companion bond. So due to the concentration gradient, the hydrogen ion has to move back. But when they move back, they move by the process of facilitated diffusion. And in this process, four transporter proteins are involved. So hydrogen ions move back into the companion cells, pass through co-transporter proteins, where assimilates are dropped into a cell as each ion passes, causing the concentration to increase. So in this way, they are moved back and by the facilitated diffusion with the help of co-transporter proteins. So this results the assimilates diffusing out of the companion cells, so going down the concentration gradient where they enter sieve tube elements through plasmodesmata. So from the companion cells, the assimilates, they enter into the sieve tube elements through plasmodesmata. So you know the plasmodesmata are the connections between the cells into the cell wall. When they enter the sieve tube elements, the water potential inside the tube decreases. You know, the concentration of these simulates is increased, as a result of which the water potential is decreased. So due to this, the water from xylem vessels enters by the process of osmosis into the phloem vessels, so increasing the hydrostatic pressure in the sieve tube elements. Because water has been entered into the phloem vessel, due to which the hydrostatic pressure at that point is increased. So all this process takes place at the source. So as water moves down the sieve tubes from a high pressure to low pressure area, so the simulates move from the source towards the sinks. So the diffusion or active transport removes the simulates into the surrounding cell. So from the source, the food is moved from the source with the help of this water by dissolving it into the water, which maintains a water tension. Then from source to sink, when the food or assimilates reach at the sink, so at that time the food is removed or the assimilates removed by the active transport. So this increases the sieve tube's water potential. Water potential of sieve tube is increased, due to which the water moves back into the xylem vessel by the osmosis, and due to which it produces the pressure in the phloem at the sink. So in this way, there will be a pressure increase at the in the phloem at the sink, because at that time the food has to unload to the sink. So when the food is uploaded into the source, into the companion, from the companion cells into the phloem vessel, so what happens at that time, that is the concentration, due to the concentration of assimilates, the water potential is decreased, and then uh, water enters from the xylem vessels into the phloem tissues, and then assimilates move down in the downward direction towards the sink. So when they reach at the sink, the assimilates are unloaded there at the sink by the process of active transport. Then at that time, by the unloading of those food substance or the assimilates, the concentration is decreased and the water potential is increased at that time. Due to increase in the water potential, the water which has was entered at the source, now it goes back into the xylem vessels by the process of osmosis, and in this way the food is unloaded at the sink. So in this diagram, you can see uh, how do these hydrogen ions are moved out of the companion cell. So the active proton pump driven by ATP. So ATP is used for this process. It pumps the hydrogen ions or the protons out of the cell into the cell wall apoplast pathway. The movement of water through the creating a high concentration of hydrogen ions in the wall. So these hydrogen ions are increased over there, due to which concentration gradient is produced. So due to high concentration outside the hydrogen ion, sucrose co-transporter protein will be, carrier protein is there. So the high concentration of hydrogen ions drives the transport of sucrose molecules back into the companion cell. So in this way, these hydrogen ions move out and they move back into the companion cells. Now, this diagram shows how the food is uploaded at the source, and then it is unloaded at the sink. So this, you can see the source, leaf cell, sucrose molecules, they when they are manufactured, they enter into the companion cells, and from the companion cell they enter into the sieve tube or the phloem. When they increase, the concentration of these assimilates is increased and water potential is low. So due to less water potential, the water from the xylem vessels is entered into them, and due to they are dissolved into this water and they move in the downward direction towards the sink. So when they move in the downward towards the sinks, when they reach at the sink, the food or the simulates are uploaded over there. So they are uploaded over there. Due to their uploading, the concentration of the water is increased into the flowing vessels or the sieve tube elements. So due to which the water move back into the xylem vessel. So in this way, the process of translocation or the upload at the source and the unload at the sink takes place. So for this transportation or there are two loading pathways which can be adopted by the plant. So the first one is the Simplast pathway. So uh, Simplast pathway, which takes place via the cytoplasm. So sucrose by diffusion from a leaf cell to a sieve tube element in a flowing cell. This decreases the water potential where osmosis moves water into the phloem, flowing the xylem tissue. So hydrostatic pressure is created as water moves down the pressure gradient towards the sink. So sucrose by diffusion it from the leaf cell to a sieve tube element in a few this due to which the water potential is decreased. So where osmosis due to osmosis the water moves into the phloem from the xylem tissues already explained, but this is the symplastic pathway. So hydrostatic pressure is created as water moves down the pressure gradient towards the sink. So at the sink, the hydrostatic pressure is created. So this was the symplastic pathway. Now we will discuss the apoplastic pathway. Apoplast pathway when the uh, movement is through the cell wall. So the sucrose moves from a leaf cell to a companion cell wall via diffusion. So the active transport then moves the sucrose into the cytoplasm where it can move through the plasmodesmata via diffusion into the sieve tube elements. So osmosis and hydrostatic pressure move the sucrose towards the sink where the phloem is unloaded passively. So the concentration gradient is maintained as the sucrose is removed. This water potential increases as a result of osmosis moves water out. So in these two methods are adopted at that time, symplastic or apoplastic pathway when the food is uploaded at the source and the food is or the simulates are unloaded at the sink. So in this way, the transportation of the simulate takes place in plants. Please like, share, and subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching.